is able to do X number of things. All the things that it's able to do is a thing identifiable in its own place, from its own perspective. And there could be an infinite number of abilities, but each ability is an ability. Because world is a created entity. In creation, you only have that which was given, which was provided there. Again, just for semantics, to give us a little bit of a means of a language for it. So we say, if you're a guest in someone's home, essentially you and him are in the same home. You're sitting at the same table. Perhaps you're even eating the same food. There's a fundamental difference between the guest and the host, just in this setting. The guest is participating, is sitting in this place and partaking of the food and so forth by a definitive approach. This is what he has, this is what he's given, this is what he's allowed to do. The host is also using limited facilities because he's a limited entity. But he is using this limited facility not from a limited perspective, but from an unlimited perspective. The reason he's using it is because it's his. Everything that he uses is this particular thing, alluding to the entire phenomenon of existence, of presence. You can use this not as a muscle, but as a means to approach or understand when we say divine. In the creation and the creature, even the human being who is the, so to speak, the prime creation, and he actually has a perception of the entire creation, the entire world, it is that he was given that ability to perceive. As we always quote from the Pasuk, when the human being was created, Hashem said to him, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and capture it. The ability of the human being, as we speak many times, of the human being to have ownership on land, in the earth, in the world, is a divine gift. This is not something that is hid, but is on a fundamental level. The fact that he is here, therefore he automatically has the world. It's not true. He was given it by the divine gift. Therefore, when he has the world, there's a keen awareness that he has this world. And there's a meaning to him. It is not by default. It is not by. It is by a divine gift, and there are conditions coming along with it, responsibilities. When we speak of the same thing from a divine perspective, it is comparable to what's called the owner the host is a completely different perspective. It isn't that he has something. He provides for the existence of these things that there are. He makes them be. His reality is what makes them be. This is what we're saying. Been struggling a long time with this. Hashem's knowledge is what creates and gives the ability of the world to be. Okay. Thus, since that Hashem's knowledge is at that fundamental level, therefore it would follow that which occurs, which is present as a result of that knowledge, should conform completely to that knowledge. And it should only present that which is acceptable to that knowledge. And therefore, that which is contained in that knowledge, all the creatures therein, are identified with that knowledge, with the one who knows them. They know that which the one which is provided for them to know from the Creator. And yet, this is the big thing that we've struggled with for a long time. That's one to hit it on the head, so to speak, to point out the wondrous aspect of this. And the Rebbe himself asks the question. Since it is because of his knowledge, so therefore the known entity should be reflective of the one who knows it. And yet somehow it is broader than that. Because the knowledge, as he says, is from a higher perspective, and therefore the known, the one that's known in this knowledge, does not have the limits of something which came into being. Which means it will have the boundary and the definition of that which is known, the way it is known in its source, rather than the way it comes out in its ears. And therefore he comes out a complete entity. Complete. He can choose anything from his own perception. Not reflective of the source that he represents. Now, how is this possible? We're trying to explain that. So Mugdalas. Okay, it's Mugdalas, but this is what is created. So this is my created. This is what this should be. Like I said yesterday, in the practical illustration, a father is carrying a child, and he's carrying him. He holds him in his hand. Therefore, the child is present where the father goes. But the child wants to be elsewhere, and the child is elsewhere, even though he is being carried by his father. It doesn't have the whole idea of movement beside its father's movement. And we ought to, I think somebody, they came in. They came in.
Yes.
What does this tell us? Again, to use an analogy, you're a host and you have guests. The guest comes in and you invite him in and you give him a seat, show him a seat, and you serve him whatever it is. The guest is provided for with all his needs. And somehow the guest finds it, finds a liberty, so to speak, finds the spirit. He can get up and go into the kitchen and get something that he was not served. How does that happen? Is the guest an intruder? When he goes in uninvited? The answer is quite obvious. Yes, indeed, he served him his cup of coffee. This cup of coffee was representative of everything, of anything that you can provide. It was a sampling. It was not a limiting factor. With a sampling saying, here, I'd like you to be comfortable. Therefore, this cup of coffee represents a complete hosting of the guest. By Avraham Avinu, it says, Avraham Avinu was met by the three Malachim. It says in Pasuk, three men were standing over him. Avraham was sitting because he was after the embrace. So three Malachim were standing over him. So it says in the Pasuk. So Avraham went to them, invited them in, and says, please come in. And it says, V'hishoanu tachas ha'etz. V'hishoanu tachas ha'etz. That's important. What's a hishoanu? If he invited him in, he said, sit down under the canopy. Hishoanu is an allusion to something of sit down comfortably, lean over. I'm not giving you finite presence. I'm one place to say. I'm giving you a place to sit and to be comfortable and spread out. That's a yeshua. So that the host, when he invites a guest, is not inviting a guest by their limit. He's inviting a guest by his perception. They remain his guest, and everything that's his is a host to them. This is in our own realm. There's a certain truth to this, even in our own realm, even in the world. Because the principle of hosting, of relationship in general, is not a finite of the action. It is the source of this relationship. The source of this relationship is on the soul level, which knows no limits, which is the divine truth itself. In the world, yeah, it can be expressed in a certain finite manner, but this is only to express it in the world, but it is not representing the representative of what the spirit is. Similarly, in what this is like, well, I'm also to understand what we're learning here. Hashem's knowledge, pardon me, Hashem's knowledge contains in it all the entire creation. And every individual creation is contained in that knowledge. Every individual creation that is contained in that knowledge is not known as this creation. It is representative of Hashem's welcoming and providing to this creation all a godly reality. Except since it is a limited creation, he's giving it his relating to it in a finite manner, so that he wouldn't get flustered and lost himself. But in everything that's given is given the full truth of the divine gift. Since it's a divine gift given to a finite creature, it has to be given to him piecemeal in the finite level, but he's not limiting it according to the creature elements. It represents the divine giver himself. The giver himself has no limit. He can choose anything he wants. Like the host is not in one place. The host is where he is in the entire house. When he provides his guest with a certain place, he's providing the guest his spirit that in the house. And therefore the guest is now has the perception of in the house as that which the host has perceived, not what was given to him. Coming back to the Maimon, Hashem's knowledge, and it is by definition a knowledge of a finite entity. But this knowledge of a finite entity is representative of a divine knowledge. It is known on a finite entity in order that the finite entity should be able to partake and benefit from it at its level without being lost. But what he is providing is a divine element. But in order that the finite entity should be able to receive it, he gives it to him in that fashion.
In what? In a limited fashion?
In a limited fashion. But the limited fashion is not meant to be limited, it's meant to give you the whole thing. Like they had this Mishonim for the host and all that. This is why, ultimately, this little creature that's created by Hashem's identifying him and know it, ultimately, when it comes to be, he can choose his way in life, as if he were the host. Whatever belongs to my host, whatever belongs to the Creator, is open to me. Not what he has given to me, but whatever he has.
Is this to explain why the creation has the Shira? Or is this
How is it? How is it possible? Where does the Shira come from? I said that the other day. It's important when we present this kind of contradictions in statements, in three statements. He is a limited creation, and he has unlimited creation. So we in our thinking, well, we need to say, okay, he is a limited creature. But if by mistake he ventures out something, the REBBE will not stop him. He will let him go. But he doesn't belong there. So we say, no, that's not meaning from Bechira. Bechira means that wherever he goes, he feels that he belongs there.
This union of Havdalah, you're explaining kind of in a positive manner.
It is a positive, yeah, sure.
In a like a bequeathing of a.
Oh yeah, if I'm so differently. Havdalah means does not mean that he's aloof.
Not a concealment necessarily.
No, it's not an aloofness. His Havdalah means that he is looking at it from a perspective that allows everything that he has to be there.
How does that fit with the word Havdalah?
The Havdalah pertains to how he knows him. So even though he knows him and he knows his limits, he knows him as he's limited. So we explain. But yes, if you know something, it is by virtue of your coming in contact with that thing. Therefore, you know it as it is, as its limited entity. That's how you know things, by coming in contact with this thing. He knows it from the way it is in his reality. Does not know it in coming in contact, but know the way it is in his reality. Everything that is his. Therefore, he knows it in a finite limit manner that has everything. This is what the Havdalah. He knows it from a creator's perspective. So he knows a finite entity from the creator's perspective.
But Havdalah is that he gives that.
Havdalah means that even though he knows him, he knows it. If you know something, that thing has been circumscribed in your mind. This is what it is. So therefore, it will enforce a certain limit on it. Because no, he does not know it by coming in contact with it, by the defining factors of this. He knows it from his perspective, what it should be. Therefore, even though he knows a finite entity, it's infinite in his knowledge. Like we say in the case of the host gives the guest a seat, but from his perspective, he's giving him this whole house by giving him this seat. Because he's a host. He's not giving him a place where he should rest and he should not be stranded. He's giving him, he's hosting him. He's giving him all that he has, but in order for him to benefit from it, he's giving him in a finite manner.
And this explains Bechira, because since within Hashem's infinite knowledge, anything is possible. So this is the anything possible that he's giving to him.
That's right.
And he, the receiver, the human being, is receiving that whole world of possibility.
That's right.
So he can do whatever he wants.
He can do whatever he wants, even though he's a finite creature.
So it's like Yehuda says, we're sort of turning it a little bit so that the Havdalah turns out to be itself Lamaila Yusa.
Oh yeah, Havdalah is definitely not. Havdalah, that means he is standing there, he's looking at it, and is not affecting any limit on him. by his knowledge.
I'm still confused as to how that represents. Havdalah means there's a separation, right? There's a certain, no?
I understand. No. Havdalah means not a separation between the knower and the knower. When we talk about the separation, this is in our worldly perspective. But that separation, this is how I'm leaving you alone, so to speak. But then if I leave it alone, so then our relationship is also a kind of a superficial relationship. That's not what it's meant to be.
So what is it then? I mean, in other words,
What is would Havdalah come in?
Yeah.
Havdalah means here's a muscle for this. I'm sitting here and I'm sitting across the table. We are across the table to each other, the distance. But this distance does not place us in two different realms. Being in the same house, on the same table, even though there's some distance, and in order for me to reach out without thinking on the table, I have to maybe get up and get it. But even when before it is not out of proximity. It's in the same realm. It's on this table, and that's on this, and it's also on this table, even though it's a very big thing. Havdalah means that it is not just a distance, it's in a different realm. Like we said in the case of the host. Everything that's on the table in the dining room is, but the kitchen is out of proximity.
the Havdalah is that there's a host and a guest.
Yeah. The Havdalah means that he's seeing it from a higher and different perspective. Like I said, the host is giving in this, but the host perceives that the whole home is there.
The guest does not perceive this.
The one does not perceive that.
So whatever the guest is given, he feels.
He feels the graciousness of the host, but he's given him his servant. The host is giving it Havdalah. I mean, he's giving it from his perspective, not from what the host is, but the guest is asking for, but what he wants to give him. Like Abraham Avinu said, "You sure not of it. All I need is a place to sit." But he didn't say sit down. He said Yishon. Yishon means sit down comfortably and lean over.
So the guest receives this
Grace.
totality that the host has. The host is giving him the totality of everything that he has.
That's right.
The guest,
Even though it's on the guest level. So the guest level, it translates in that he can have a bechira.
right?
He cannot be, like the host is all over the house at the same time. He can be in one place at a time. But he's not locked out from any other place.
So does the Havdalah represent the fact that he's giving it to him on the guest level, or does it represent the fact that he's giving them everything that the host has? Which is when we say Havdalah, which is the...
What Havdalah is misinterpreted. I'm sorry. What Havdalah does not mean over here that he stands aloof, separate. Havdalah means that he is giving him everything, but he is looking at it from a high perch. And therefore, it's not limiting, even though he's giving him these pieces, it's not limiting them to that which he's giving him. He is giving him from this higher perch in this final level.
think more makif than mubdal. Is that okay? Surrounding, not separate.
No. I know you like the word makif.
Mubdal does feel like separate, but that's not our point here.
Mubdal means that Mubdal means, yes, that he is in a higher, in a distinct place. Mubdal means in the distinct place. The host and the guest are in two distinct places.
So when we normally go.
One second. Let me explain. The word, the terminology that the Rebbe is using Havdalah. The terminology that the Rebbe is using in Havdalah is to denote that he knows it from a stance, from a place that is so remote and so high that's called the Havdalah. The principle of Havdalah in knowledge is, like I said, knowledge normally means, good knowledge means coming in contact with what you know. He has good knowledge without coming in contact.
That means without defining it, limiting it.
How does he know good knowledge, have good knowledge without coming in contact?
What does good mean? Good knowledge.
Good knowledge means a reality, knowing it's a real thing,
Not fantasy.
and without coming in contact. The answer is, well, this is what's called divine knowledge rather than worldly knowledge.
So can I try something here? So Bechira, from one perspective, is a symptom, an effect of being completely disconnected.
That's right. That's
From
what
one
Bechira is.
perspective. But we were describing it now, Bechira, the fact that he has Bechira is actually an effect of his being completely connected to Hashem.
Yeah. Here's where we always come back into translating things in word terms. Here's where the difficulty is in this concept.
Which concept?
Bechira and Idea and Bechira.
Mm-hmm.
We want to somehow describe in our terminology two contradictory concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I know you as you are. But that does not define who you are. Do I know you really as you are or not? I know you as you are, without defining who you are. Why? How is that? Perceive this. I'm a genius. I know things from a neshama level, not from an experiential level.
Mm-hmm.
I know things within the neshama knows it. I ask my neshama, tell me, what's this guy about? And the neshama comes back, here's what he's about. I know him perfectly. But I know him not from a finite perspective, from his level of finite, but from a neshama perspective, from the infinity perspective. That's maybe Havdalah.
And as a result of that, he has Bechira.
As a result of that, he is Bechira. Because his knowledge does not grasp him, does not contain him. He knows him not without containing him. He knows him from his perspective. He knows exactly what he is. In our experience, we do not know things exactly as they are without being in contact with them. This is what Havdalah means.
We have to write this down and publish
I'm
it.
sorry?
We have to write this down and publish it. A novel understanding of Havdalah and Bechira.
Really?
Don't you think so?
I don't know. This is what the Rebbe
I'm
writes.
still trying to get it all together. So I don't know if
I have a thought how to put it together. If I may, just get you pen.
1 second. To put it on together, here's the thing. As much as we will speak about what you know about the world, about the Meibushin, about everything, All of that is representing a divine truth. A divine truth, there's no way you can contain it in your mind. That's why it's called divine. For our benefit to be able to explain it, to learn it, okay, let's step back a moment. Here's a paramount question. And it's a very simple question. Ultimately, we cannot possibly know it in its truth. Because our mind cannot grasp, cannot reach to know an unlimited element. We cannot know reality without having been created. Everything in my mind has to be created. This is what knowledge is to us. Knowledge means I have not knowing, I come to knowing. Since I come from not knowing to knowing, there's a transition. This knowing begins someplace. So what's the point? Since it's not possible for you to get it in full, in a full truth. So what's the point of learning about it? The point of learning about it is that this knowledge, this learning, does not translate in you feeling familiarity with it. I know it. It translates in your submission, your beetle to it. So that this knowledge would actually translate in true beetle. And beetle does not mean self-nullification. Beetle means beetle to that truth. If it's beetle to that truth becomes part of your reality. You actually exist and live within that reality as a result of your beetle. Beetle that is a result of knowledge is a tremendous beetle. Tremendous beetle and tremendous accomplishment. This is what is the significance of this Bahavdola knowledge, and this is what its purposes. You get the whole truth. And you know it, but the knowledge is not that you grasp it, like we grasp things in our worldly knowledge. The knowledge is that it's real to you, so that it elicits a beetle. You relate to it to beetle.
Get to the next line without meaning to.
That's right. Just one, since we didn't go into this, so I'll just want to mention beetle. Relate to it to beetle means that because that this is an infinite presence, whatever you know about it is present right there, is embracing your own existence. So the beetle is not, there are two types of beetle. I feel small in my own mind because there's such a great thing over there. This is a different kind of beetle. This is because I am within this greatness. And I function within this greatness, as part of this greatness. This is what happens as a result of this knowledge. So therefore, I'm functioning in a finite manner, but I'm in a finite manner, but within an infinite reality. So even though he is Bechira, and he has a choice to act one way or the other, he still has not relinquished, has not lost his relationship to the Creator. This is the phenomenal miracle of this whole setup.
I need to
Huh?
stop.
Excuse me?
I need to stop the tape.
Yeah, why?
Time.
Oh, the time.
Yes.
You need to go. I said,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so that's Beetle. I thought we were in infinite reality.